So earlier this afternoon, today here, Sunday, downtown Columbus, there are several people protesting, as they have been protesting throughout the last several weeks. We cannot stress enough, as a police department, we do not mind protesting. We do not mind peaceful protesting. We want everyone to exercise their First Amendment rights to peacefully protest. We're totally okay with that. However, because of incidents that have happened over the last 6 to 7 days, we were very concerned here on Father's Day, on a Sunday, with so many people that were out in public just trying to enjoy the day. There are lots of families down here, lots of young children, just a lot of activity. For the first time, the citizens of Columbus have felt comfortable to come back downtown, and we saw a lot of family out, and they were just trying to enjoy the nice day, and a lot of dads with their kids celebrating the holiday. So during the early afternoon hours, it became very clear to us that it was getting to a point where the demonstrators were going from being a peaceful protest to engaging in illegal activity. And what I mean by that is they started to take the street. They were blocking vehicular traffic. It was almost impassable for cars to go down the road, and it became a danger not only to the demonstrators, but to the people in their cars and everyone around. So we had a commander from our department go out and speak. At this point, there were many people on the road, making it impossible for cars to pass, and it became very, very dangerous for everyone involved. Everyone understands that our rules of engagement have changed in regards to how we deal with protests and crowds, and we want to respect that. We follow the rule and the guidelines set forth by Mayor Ginther and directed by Chief Quinlan to continue to follow these new best practices in regards to crowds. So the commander went up to the crowd, and there are several people who were willing to speak to him, and he had explained that because of the incidents that have happened over the last 5 to 6 days, including COTA buses being surrounded, being pushed back to where they could not complete the route, where it was well documented on the COTA bus that it was an emergency and they wanted police. There's been many incidents where we have received multiple 911 calls over the last week with motorists that were concerned that they could not pass through High Street, the most important street in the city in terms of getting north to south, and Broad Street, our other biggest street that goes east to west. So we did not want to continue to have these issues. We've had people set fires overnight the last couple of nights to where emergency personnel had trouble even getting there to put these fires out. And on top of that, in back-to-back nights, we're not talking about peaceful protests. We're talking about demonstrators who are committing illegal acts. 2 nights in a row, we have had shots fired calls in the area of where people are demonstrating. I can't stress enough, all of us at the Columbus Division of Police want people to exercise their right to peacefully protest. But there is a clear and distinct difference between a peaceful protest and someone illegally demonstrating their right to protest. So the commander continued his dialogue with the group. We eventually got them to get out of the street and legally demonstrate on the sidewalk, which we're totally okay with. And there continued to be several demonstrators who did not follow those guidelines, and they became aggressive back into the street. They started grabbing the bicycles from the bicycle officers that were trying to protect them and protect their right to peacefully protest. They started grabbing the bikes of the patrol officers who were trying to help them, and they became aggressive and continued and continued. Some of these demonstrators had their own barricades that had foil and other objects on them to basically combat what we were doing as far as trying to allow them to peacefully protest. So they came with a clear agenda to make sure we would not be able to keep the street clear for everyone's safety. And on top of all of that, we also received information that protesters were encouraged and demonstrators to come downtown because we were trying to safely get everyone out of the street. And we received credible information that more and more people were going to come and try to prevent us from doing our job and protect everyone's safety. So what really sparked everything to the escalation point was just after 3 p.m., there was a demonstrator in the crowd who picked up one of the rental scooters that we have. He picked it up and he threw it directly at the officers who were out on the line trying to protect everyone. The officers thankfully saw the object coming. They were able to avoid it, and they immediately went after that particular demonstrator, because not only could the officers have been hurt, but the other demonstrators that were just in front of the police, he actually threw the scooter over top of them, so many people could be hurt, which falls under the guidelines set forth in terms of us trying to engage people and make sure that we take them into custody safely without injuring others. During that time, when the officers went to apprehend this demonstrator, as he was going away, there were several demonstrators who physically grabbed the officers to prevent them from capturing the demonstrator. I got to make that very clear. Multiple people forcefully grabbed officers in the performance of their duties to try and apprehend the demonstrator who could have severely injured many, many people. Thankfully, the officers were able to take that demonstrator into custody. He has been charged with felonious assault. And right now, we did use pepper spray. Again, we followed the guidelines set forth by Mayor Ginther and Chief Quinlan that we absolutely used maximum restraint in using pepper spray as our last resort. We did not use the chemical agents as part of the guidelines that we cannot use. We just used our pepper spray. So if you have any questions, I'll go now.
Were any of the officers injured?
There were no officers injured in the particular incident of the scooter being thrown, thankfully, but subsequently after that, we had many officers that sustained minor injuries during the course of everyone getting aggressive. So once that pepper spray was deployed, people became more agitated. They continued to try to take the bike of the bicycle officers. I want to make it clear, we were not out on the line in full riot gear. We were just in traditional uniforms, and we were peacefully trying to keep the crowd calm.
Why not in riot gear today?
Well, the decision was made based upon the fact that we understand what our riot gear represents to some people at times, and the crowd was peacefully demonstrating and cooperating for the most part, but unfortunately, this is a clear case of what can happen when the actions of one can turn everything from a peaceful and calm, place of demonstrating into chaos.
How many total arrests?
Just one.
I saw several people taken into custody. I mean, were they just talked to and let go, or what happened there?
Yeah, so we did, detain several people. Some of them were actually witnesses that we were trying to gather information, but as of now, we just have the one arrest.
Where did the scooter incident happen? Because at one point there was the gathering in front of the State House on High where it looked like spray was used, and then later in the day it went down to Broad and High. So where did everything take place?
Sure, so this happened directly in front of the State House on High Street, where the scooter incident occurred.
There was another kind of cluster of people when it went to the intersection of Broad and High, where it seemed like a fight maybe ensued. I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if you have any information as to what happened there.
Yeah, I'm not sure of all the details as to that particular incident, but I'll definitely get back to you on that.
And again, just the importance of, it just seemed like when that intersection started to be blocked, that's kind of when the things became tense. So again, just the importance of you guys just want to keep the road clear.
Absolutely. Like I said before, High Street and Broad Street is one of our most vital intersections that we have. And it's important that we keep that clear. We have tried every measure necessary prior to today of allowing that to be blocked. And we've unfortunately had these incidents every night where it has become far too dangerous and far too violent for officers, for peaceful protesters, for demonstrators, and just the general public.
It seems like there has been different policies, though, throughout the last 3.5 weeks. What do you think it's going to take to be able to get that balance of getting the protesters the peaceful protest they want and to keep the officers safe, to keep the intersections free?
I'll say this. I know I sound like a broken record when I say we respect everyone's right to peacefully protest. And we understand tensions are high, not only here in the city of Columbus, but in the entire United States. But I caution people, if they really want to make true change, we should be in the action phase. And what I mean by that, you can have every right to protest, but if you want to make real change, please, I urge you, as a U.S. citizen, as someone who desperately wants change, personally, use the resources you have. Make sure you use your city leadership. Make your voice heard. Use legislation. Use all the government entities at your discretion the right way, and try to minimize the demonstrating at this point. Again, I can't tell anyone what to do, but we should be in the action phase right now in our city to make real change.
You mentioned demonstrators trying to take the bikes away from the police. Was that in front of the State House, or was that, because that's what we saw when the bikes were starting to go into those cardboard or wooden shields? Did that happen then, or at the State House too?
Both, yes. Both incidents. And it's important to know, with the bikes, we are using them for safety, and you know, you get into very dangerous territory when someone is trying to take that away. You know, not to get specific into tactics, but that could severely injure not only a demonstrator, but could injure an officer. And the last thing we want is for anyone to be injured during any of this, on either side.
A couple weeks ago, you know, when things were more tense down there, you know, police would come in and say, you know, this is an emergency area, you need to get out of the streets. When the crowd was at Broad and High, it seemed like, you know, the bikes came down, and we didn't hear that announcement today. It was a different, I guess, way to try to get them out of the streets. Any reason behind that today, or how did that sort of situation arise?
Well, I can tell you, prior to the incident with the demonstrator throwing the bike at us, it was very well documented that the commander was on a loudspeaker or megaphone and gave well over 30 requests and attempts that were clear and direct to everyone to please get back on the sidewalk. We encourage your peaceful protesting, but please do not block the street because it is becoming too dangerous for everyone involved. So we made that very clear.
Hadn't the city removed those scooters for a time being right after the first couple of days?
They did.
Are they any plans on taking them back away?
I'm not aware
After
of any
this
changes, but I'm sure whoever's in charge of that will make the right decision in terms of allowing those to continue during these, you know, times of unrest.
Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, any other points?
I would say that we want to follow, we want to be the leader. And what I mean by that, there's been a lot of people who feel that we are trying to be too aggressive, or people are thinking we're trying to do certain things. But what we are trying to do here at CPD is do whatever is right to make everyone safe. That means officers, that means peaceful protesters, even the demonstrators who are illegally protesting. I think that's been lost in a lot of this, is everyone has a right to peacefully protest, but there is a clear difference between protesting legally and protesting illegally. We just want everyone to follow the guidelines safely, and as long as they do that, we all come out better for this.
The demonstrators have been, as you mentioned, been in the streets for the past 2 weeks, every day, every night, until today. Is it moving forward? Is that no longer going to be happening or going to be allowed to happen?
Well, we'll continue to evaluate everything as we do with any situation. We're going to use our city leadership to guide us through this very difficult time, not only today, but day by day. So as far as future plans, it's always fluid. We have to be adaptable, and we will do whatever is best to continue to have the safety of the citizens in mind.